Snow drifted softly through the narrow wooden street as the lanterns flickered like tired stars, and Elias Cole reined his white horse to a halt outside the small tavern, unaware that this quiet winter night would alter the course of his life forever. He had ridden for days through frozen plains, carrying the weight of memories he never spoke of, his wool scarf wrapped tight against the cold and tighter still around the ache in his chest. That was when he saw her. A young widow seated on a bench beneath the glow of a lantern, her dress worn but clean, her posture dignified despite exhaustion, and in her arms a small boy clung to her as if the world itself were slipping away. The child's cheeks were pale, his breathing shallow, and when Elias noticed the way the woman pressed her lips to the boy's hair, whispering reassurances she herself did not believe, something inside him stirred painfully. She looked up then, her eyes meeting his, not with desperation but with quiet courage, and she spoke words so simple they struck deeper than any bullet ever had. "My son is cold," she said softly, her voice trembling like the falling snow. "Could I borrow your scarf, just for a little while?" Elias hesitated only a second before unwinding the scarf from his neck and kneeling before her, gently wrapping it around the child, whose small fingers immediately grasped the warm fabric. The boy sighed, a sound of relief so small yet profound that Elias felt his throat tighten. The woman exhaled shakily, her eyes shining. "Thank you," she whispered, as if afraid the moment might break if spoken too loudly. Elias learned her name was Clara Bennett, and the boy was Thomas, barely 4 years old, and that her husband had died the previous winter in a ranch accident, leaving her with nothing but debts and memories too heavy to carry alone. She had been traveling from town to town, hoping for work, but winter was cruel to widows and children, and kindness was a rare currency. Inside the tavern, laughter spilled from warm rooms, but Clara had no money to enter, and pride would not allow her to beg. Elias stood there, snow gathering on his shoulders, listening as if the night itself demanded he hear her story. He told her little about himself, only that he was a rancher from the north, passing through. But she saw in his eyes a man who understood loss, and somehow that was enough. When the tavern door opened and a burst of warmth escaped into the street, Elias made a decision that surprised even him. He offered them a meal, a room for the night, and though Clara hesitated, her son's quiet cough made the choice for her. They sat inside by the fire, Thomas sleeping at last, the scarf still wrapped around him, while Clara spoke of her dreams in a voice barely above a whisper, dreams of a small home, of safety, of a life where her son would not have to fear the cold. Elias watched her as she spoke, the firelight softening her features, and felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest, not longing, but hope. When dawn arrived, pale and cold, Elias found himself unwilling to leave. He offered Clara work at his ranch, a place to stay, a future that did not depend on chance or charity. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she accepted, not as a woman rescued, but as one finally seen. Months later, spring would melt the snow and bring green to the plains, and neighbors would speak of the quiet rancher who returned with a woman and child at his side, his scarf still wrapped around the boy who now laughed freely in the sun. And on winter nights, when the lanterns glowed and the wind howled outside their home, Elias would remember the night a simple request changed everything, when a borrowed scarf became a promise, and 2 broken lives found warmth not just from wool, but from love strong enough to survive even the coldest winter.